here are 3 reasons why I'm still buying the Graph's native token called GRT. Reason number 1 is because I like its room for growth, even though nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee. But here's the thing. If let's say GRT were to go to the price of $5, that right there is around an 18x from here. I get it. It's not the best hypothetical upside, but considering how much it has pumped, much like I predicted, by the way, this doesn't seem too caca. And not to mention, it's not that unrealistic anyways, because, if it were to go again to the price of $5, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $48 billion. So first of all, we have to take into consideration how BNB reached over $100 billion, dollars in terms of market cap back in 2021. We've seen Dogecoin reach over 80 billion. So I'm not talking about, crazy nonsense, unheard figures here. This doesn't seem too bad in my opinion. Now, hypothetically, if I were to put $1,000 into GRT right now, and let's say GRT again were to go to the price of $5, at that point, that $1,000 would hypothetically become, 18 grand, around that, right? Now, that's not going to make anyone a millionaire. I totally understand that. That's very far from even 100 grand, but still, an 18x doesn't seem too bad, considering especially how much it is pumped. But even still, despite that, an 18x I don't think is bad as a standalone thing, so to speak. And keep in mind, GRT is not going to be the best performing cryptocurrency of all time. It's not going to perform the best in the next 6 months to a year. But it doesn't really matter because I am not in the world of cryptocurrencies to look for a microcap, but I'm not looking for a complete dinosaur either. Like for instance, Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Bitcoin. That's good, but I don't want to get into that. It's a little bit too boring. However, on the flip side, do I want to get into some random microcap with a $50,000 market cap? Absolutely not. It's just a little bit too much risk for my appetite. So what is a good balance in between? I think it's going to hands down be something like, GRT. Now, not only GRT, I hold, other cryptocurrencies as well, but I believe that GRT always has to be one of my foundational pieces because I do love the graph. Now, before I get into why I think the graph is so amazing, some people oftentimes like to say that, the graph doesn't have the best adoption, but it doesn't really matter because in the world of cryptocurrencies, people care about anticipated adoption as opposed to adoption in the current state. So in the next 6 months to a year, people don't really care about the adoption of the graph, in my opinion. I think they'll care about it in 10 years, but in the short term, people usually don't really care. Even Solana doesn't have good adoption. It's only known for having meme coins, but it's still done very well because people are anticipating that it's going to do good. You know what I mean? People just don't really care about that. It's for instance, I got a 34 on my ACT. Do people care about that right now? Absolutely not. No one cares. You know what I mean? Probably back in high school, everyone was whoa, you got a 34, but no one cares now. Let's face it, everyone's probably forgot about that type of stuff. Much like the graph, no one really cares about its adoption. They care about it in the long term, probably, but in the current form or in the current state, they don't really care about that type of stuff. When it comes to the graph, the way I take a look at it is that the fundamentals are very impressive because after all, the graph is an open source software that is used to collect, store, and process data. Now you may be thinking, okay, why would this be important? Because if you think about it, this does help, for instance, right? Developers use relevant data to increase the efficiency of their decentralized application. Now, it should also be taken into consideration that the graph analyzes and stores various blockchain data, before storing it into various indices. And these indices are called subgraphs. And keep in mind, when it comes to subgraphs, this allows any application to send a query to its protocol and receive an immediate response, which is very good, of course, a very immediate response. Not to mention, queries, they're posed through decentralized applications through something called GraphQL. And very interestingly enough, right, when it comes to this, again, GraphQL, it's a widely used language that was originally created by Facebook, hashtag Mark Zuckerberg. But besides that point, to gather data for a user's, newsfeed. However, it doesn't end there though, because there's more to the graph, in my opinion. Anyone can actually use subgraphs to power applications across 50 plus networks, which include Polygon, Ethereum, Moonriver, and Moonbeam. And Moonriver and Moonbeam, by the way, I'm very bullish on that. Also, this list includes Harmony, which I'm also very bullish on, and many others. So yeah, this is very impressive. Not to mention the graph currently, it's being utilized by popular Ethereum decentralized applications such as Aave, Curve, and Uniswap. So yeah, that's very impressive, very famous. For instance, Uniswap people often consider it like the best decentralized exchange. So when it comes to GraphQL, its presence in the DeFi, aka decentralized finance space, I think is top notch. Not to mention, we take a look at how as of right now on the Graph network and hosted service, there has been over 70,000 projects and over 1 trillion queries served. On the Graph network, there's also been over 100 indexer nodes. A little bit complicated. I think no one really cares about that. But you know what? It's cool nonetheless, and I think it adds cool points. But besides that point, when I talk about the fundamentals of the Graph, I think it's pretty much second to none. It's very impressive, and I think it has such an amazing use case. What I like about the Graph is that it's a project that's not going to disappear when the fans and hype are gone, because it actually has a good use case. And it's only fair to assume, right, there's going to be more developers in the future. There's going to be more decentralized applications that are going to pop up. So, of course, the Graph, it's still going to have a good use case. And I think that it's going to be around for a very long time. I think pretty much hypothetically forever, because when you think about it, this actually has a good use case. Now, this actually brings me to my third and final reason as to why I'm still buying the Graph's native token called GRT. And that is because, as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. Even if you take a look at Charles Hoskinson, who not only is the co-founder of Ethereum, but the founder of Cardano, he does predict that in the next 1 or 2 years, based on a video that he was a part of, I should say, right, on November 26th, that he could very well see Bitcoin reaching either $250,000 all the way up to $500,000. Now, can you imagine that? Now, $500,000 for Bitcoin, I think is a little bit way too optimistic during this bull run. I'm not saying about the long term. Again, just this bull run. But let's say Bitcoin just reaches like his worst case prediction, which is $250,000. Even at that point, GRT at the price of $5 may seem a little bit bearish. You know what I mean? And again, I think as Bitcoin does reach greater heights, which all signs are indicating, by the way, that it could very well do that, I think it's only fair to assume that the altcoin season is going to be amazing. Now, we haven't seen the full glimpse of it yet, because I think we're still in second gear, especially when it comes to altcoins. I think, as we get into third, fourth, and fifth gear, things could be very amazing. Now, again, it's only a matter of time, but I think 2025 could very well be the time to shine for many altcoins, but it's just a waiting game because, once that Bitcoin dominance drops, once the sentiment for altcoins become a lot better, once a lot more capital, starts flowing in as a result of the better sentiment, I mean, man, I really do believe that the sky's the limit for not only altcoins, but also, GRT, which of course is an altcoin. But even besides that point, according to Crypto.com research, there's currently over 600 million crypto owners as of right now. That's more than ever before in history. I do believe that this bull run could be something special, but it's just a waiting game. And again, $5 for GRT during this bull run wouldn't surprise me whatsoever, which is why, I'm still buying GRT. I think better days are ahead. And anytime an income, I'm acquiring, I'm holding, and I'm just waiting. I'm keeping it simple because I don't day trade, I don't use leverage, I don't swing trade, because I'm that bullish on the Graph. And again, $5 wouldn't surprise me whatsoever during this bull run. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.